All right, Women's Euros Group C, and the draw has been very unkind to tournament debutants because, as I mentioned in the previous video, 6 of the 8 highest ranked teams in Europe are in Group C and D, and then the other two teams are Wales and Poland. So, if they were in Group A or B, they'd actually have a legitimate shot of doing something at this tournament, and maybe at a stretch reaching the knockout stage, so that it would still seem, kind of out of reach. But considering who they've been drawn with, it's going to be very hard for either of them really to do too much at the tournament other than try and play some good football, try and be as good as they can be. But I'd be very surprised if they manage to make it through. Poland has the advantage of Iwa Peor, who is one of the best players in the world. So they do have that going for them, but they don't have too much else, at the very least, not of that quality. So Poland are almost certainly going to finish last. They're probably going to struggle in every game, but maybe they can get a result. This group isn't quite as hard as Group D. A lot's been made of that as the group of death, but certainly there's some very tough teams and some very interesting matches that are going to happen in this group because we've got Poland, Germany, Denmark, and Sweden. And Denmark, Sweden, and Germany are all teams with a lot of success in the women's game. Germany are the record Euros winners with 8 championships, which is quite a lot. They've fallen behind recently, though, so they haven't actually won a major trophy since the 2016 Olympics. And despite all of that major records of World Cups, tons of Euros, they in the most recent World Cup got grouped. They lost in the final last time. Third place at the Euros. It's been a bit of a topsy-turvy time for Germany, considering that on the one hand they've been grouped at the World Cup, on the other they were semifinalists at the most recent Euros and Olympics, and finalists in those Euros as well. So Germany still has plenty to look forward to, and they are in pretty good form right now. They've just spent their Nations League beating up on a lot of opponents, including the Dutch. So they're coming in with some high hopes, I imagine, because of how impressive recent results have been and how easily they've been winning games. Not every game against super high opposition, though. Again, they did beat the Dutch pretty bad, but every single game they were winning big. So that bodes well for the Germans, and I imagine they will win this group. They're definitely the favorites in this group. So I think Germany could do very well, not just in this group, but in the knockout stages as well. The tough thing for teams in this group is that the knockout stage will give them matchups with one of England, France, or the Netherlands, unless Wales pulls off a miracle. And all three of those teams are very tough to beat. And England and France, who are the favorites in that group, are arguably better than any of the teams in this group. So that could be a very tough thing come the knockout stage. And it's already going to be hard enough to get through to the group because of how good some of the teams are in this group. So then we go to Denmark, and Denmark have similarly a very good squad. They've actually made the final not too long ago, semifinalists at 3 of the last 6 tournaments here. So they've definitely got a very good team and one with a decent amount of pedigree. The issue is they're not coming in amazing form. Their squad isn't quite as good as Sweden and Germany, and they've come into this with their most recent result being a 6-1 loss to Sweden, who they will play on the opening game. And sometimes losing to a team that badly can be a good thing, it can be a wake-up call, and if you are playing that very same team in your opening match, it's a chance for redemption, and also because you know them, you probably will play better than you did before. Still, that's a fairly positive sign for Sweden and not so great for Denmark. So Denmark might not be in the highest of spirits heading into this tournament, which can have an effect on how you perform, though it's not the biggest thing ever. We'll see if Denmark can overcome that. They got a great chance against Sweden, which could dictate how they do for the rest of the group, is how they do against Sweden and what they can get from that game, because Sweden definitely are beatable. They've got a pretty solid team still. They are pretty much always the the best team that didn't win something at any major tournament. They often, they make the semis, they've been to finals, they have won the Euros once. All the way back in 1984. So they have some history, but more often than not, they're the team that gets really close but doesn't quite make it. Um, so that's frustrating for Sweden, but they will probably have enough to get through this group. I think that they have the second strongest squad on paper going into the tournament. So I think it will be Germany first and Sweden second, and then Denmark third. As much as I'd like to see Poland do well, I'm not sure it's going to happen. So I am going to just go with Germany and Sweden. They're in the best form going into the tournament. Sweden has had some topsy-turvy form at time, including draws to Wales, but their most recent results bode better. They defeated Norway and, as mentioned before, beat Denmark 6-1. So I think Sweden will be fine. And unfortunately for Denmark, the draw maybe isn't actually that kind to them either. So I do think it's going to be Germany and Sweden going through at the expense of Denmark and Poland.